Good day, financial scholars. So, today I am going to present to you a topic on Social Security and what is its future. Just so you know, I am David Dupuis. I am a student at Alfred State College, currently a junior in the financial planning program. I'm preparing to go down the route of a financial planner, a financial advisor. So for one of my courses, I actually encountered a article for the Wall Street Journal, an article speaking about Social Security in general and how we could possibly exhaust its supply and what steps will be necessary to keep it going in our future, especially for us as millennials, Gen X, Y, and Z. We got to work towards making sure we have a stable future. Therefore, this topic is very important for all of us to deeply consider and follow the news concerning this topic. So, to go along these lines, I'm going to start by discussing what exactly Social Security is, what are some of the flaws we encounter through Social Security, and how can we fix it, and what is actually being done right now to get it done, to get it fixed. I think you'll find it a pretty interesting topic, but let's get straight to it. Started. So right now we're going to go over how exactly Social Security works. There are multiple different levels, and I'm just going to flop through this PowerPoint right here. So typically, or to simplify the whole term, Social Security is an insurance. So it's taken out of your payroll each paycheck you get, and it just goes into a big pot of money and is distributed even before you even get the check. You might even notice it on your check every time you get it, just saying, "Hey, oh, you just lost money." But I wouldn't worry too much about that. But yeah, it acts as an insurance for those who are retiring. So it's basically saving for your future by putting something into a big pot, which is shared between almost everybody. So what I mean by pot is they're just trusts, for lack of another word. So these pots just fill with money. Everyone is putting money into it, equal percentage for everyone, depending on how much money you made. And there's really two pots. There's the OASI, which is for old age retirees, and then there's the DI, which is for those who retire based on a disability they may have received, such as injury in the workplace, and now they need compensation to help them survive for basically the rest of their lives. So when an individual meets the qualifications for receiving the Social Security, they can receive the benefits and the benefits that follow according to their qualifications. So typically, as an example, currently the age for full compensation of your Social Security benefits is age 67. If you waited a few more years, you could have an even better return, more so than just the base average. You could have a 26% increase on that initial return. So it's really quite beneficial to wait, and so that's basically how qualifications will change based on how much, for one, how much you put into Social Security, and two, how much you were willing to wait to be a little bit older until you take it out. The thing is, when you pass away, what happens with this money is that if you don't claim the benefits and you pass away before that time, the money gets tossed back into the pot It never even leaves the pot, and you basically never see a cent of that money. Neither does your family, um, well, except for in certain circumstances where the spouse can receive the benefits. Um, but this makes it more of an insurance because it's basically the government betting, hey, no, you are going to die before this point, so I can be fairly confident that I can distribute this money without fear that you're going to take it from me. However, there's a little bit of a flaw in this plan, and I'm going to go right into that right now. So, right now, we're talking about flaws in the system. So, a few flaws in the system. It can, and this is quite an entertaining topic. Um, Let me just start by saying that Social Security will more than likely never disappear. A lot of people will say, hey, no, it's going to disappear. It's not really stable. It's true, it's not stable. However, it's not going away because people will always vote it back in. People will fight to the death because they think Social Security is worth it to them. But there could be a point when it's not worth it to them. And we'll get into that in a second. The system is currently threatened by an aging population. And I'll just read from what I say here. An aging population who, statistically speaking, are more likely to vote. I didn't even notice the typo there before, and you probably didn't even notice until I pointed it out. But especially on topics that are more important to them. So if the vote has to do something that will benefit them, they're more than likely going to vote to benefit them, not really benefit the future generations. I mean, there might be that one friendly old grandma who might think that way, but people are always looking out for themselves. That's just a typical rule. Also, these individuals that are taking out Social Security, they're taking out Social Security early, some of them. So this tends to stretch it out over a long period of time. And these people are living longer lives than previously expected. The life expectancy has gone up, and therefore making Social Security more difficult to collect. So essentially, the Social Security is insuring more than they can handle, because that's not what they originally agreed to. The person's barely even working, and then retires early, and then all of a sudden they have to be paid out for a long time. But exhausting the system like this causes the supply to run thin, making it more difficult for future generations to claim the benefits. So that includes people like us. These people are living for long periods of time, taking out lots of money, but you got to remember that the money that goes to the next generation is the money that's left over in the pot. If people are taking money early, if people are barely putting money into the pot, if people are living longer lives, how much of that money is going to be seen later on? And this is a big issue that we're encountering right now. So if the current law is left unchanged, if this tax is left unchanged, there could be three changes that are encountered. The first, the age of the Social Security coverage will increase, requiring us to live longer to see any benefits. The payout for Social Security will decrease. Or worse, it could be both. Now let's get into the article about Social Security. So, the article of Social Security is was from the Wall Street Journal. It's called Social Security Expansion Under Consideration Would Boost Payroll Taxes by the tax policy reporter Richard Rubin. It starts off by stating that under the current law, the Social Security would be exhausted by the year 2035. So we have what we discover is this problem where we're running out of the money, as we discussed before. So now we're going to run into this new act presented by Congressman John B. Larson, called the Social Security 2100 Act. So this act adds a whole bunch of new benefits at a different cost, correcting a few of our issues, but also taxing different people. So some of the benefits include a 2% increase in benefits to all beneficiaries. Protected, the funds are protected against inflation. The minimum benefit is set for 25% above the poverty line to protect low-income workers. Tax cuts for beneficiaries, and holding SSI, Medicaid, and CHIP beneficiaries harmless. Some improvements to the system include the payroll tax is now applied for people over 400,000. Before, these people used to get some avoidance of the payroll tax, but now they're going to be getting taxed. So that's very much a tax on the higher income individuals. Therefore, there's going to be a higher pay into the trusts. There will also be a 50-cent per week charge from both employees and employers to just keep the system stable and continually flowing, so monies keep on going into it. So I guess this would go as a tax just in general, but 50 cents per week most people can part with. They also will combine the OASI and DI trusts into just one big trust. So make just one big pool that we're going to be withdrawing from for our Social Security rather than two separate ones. Now, of course, despite the possible positive outcome of this act, improving our Social Security over the upcoming years, there is still opposition to the proposition, as there is in all things. The Republicans and Democrats can't come to an agreement on the proposition, of course, as most politics typically go. And most critics even say that the policy is not likely to pass. But nonetheless, in recent news, it has been discussed. So in this past Monday and Tuesday, it has been thoroughly discussed in Congress, showing that there is a considerable amount of interest in the system. So that gives us a little bit more hope that we will have a positive future, and that this act could go through if we find an agreement. So that was it. Thank you very much. If there's any questions, be sure to leave them in the comment section below, or in any other location. Just message me, and the links are below, connecting to the Wall Street Journal article, as well as to the Social Security 2100 Act. Again, this is David Dupuy, and it's been great speaking with you. Have a nice day.